If you go and ask the price today, do you know how it will have shot up? You know land in Accra. You know. All of us. Where we are saying we couldn't, I mean, if we are to buy it now, we can't afford. Just 2 years ago, land you buy, now you go back, it's probably tripled, quadrupled. So why is anybody telling us that these are investments which are not economical, they don't make business sense, and that it should be done away with? Then you see, Mamiama, let us be very, very honest. We all have a conscience. We all know that we live in a rule of law era. We have a constitution. Which country in this world, which country will you hear that state assets are being sold and a minister of state, a cabinet minister, is the one buying the state assets? Look, 16 years ago, I was totally disgusted, appalled, when I gathered information that the Honorable Jacob Echebi Lamte, may he rest in peace, had decided to buy his bungalow, his official bungalow. I said, if Nkrumah's ministers, Achampon's ministers, all decided to buy their bungalows, will any have been left? So I said, no, this cannot continue. So my good brother and I, the Honorable Dr. Mane Boama and I, went to the Supreme Court. We said, under the Ghanaian Constitution, if you secure land as government, you do compulsory acquisition for a public good. You're putting it to public use. The Constitution says that if you no longer need the land that you have denied the Ghana people of, they should have the first right. You should give it back to them. The Honorable Jacob Echebi Lamte came to court and says, oh, he intends to build hostels for nurses, so it is all still in the public interest, you know, and by a 6-3 decision, he laid hands on it. But you see, in that judgment, former Chief Justice Sophia Akufu, she prophesied. She said that, look, they have missed an opportunity, and that they should look at the larger picture, the consequences of that decision. You know, this matter has come up in recent times where...
Absolutely, I was just coming to it, Honorable.
Where the Honorable Bra Champon says that, oh, I like to tarnish people's image.
Well, let me get there.
You know?
Let me ask the question.
Sure.
So the biggest issue, and he has reacted, you know, in fact, all of us heard the two of you one fine morning, must have been 2 days ago, on Joy FM, you know, and it was an interesting engagement where the two of you had opportunity to sort of engage each other. And I say, perhaps for me, it sounded to me like the biggest issue he had was the personal, the fact that he felt you have 24-hour, you know, access, unfettered access to him, unfettered my word, and the two of you are colleagues, you know, you've been schoolmates since forever, and he felt you could have come to him first, you know, to seek explanation before you sent the issue to Shrag. Now, he confounds the issue even further by bringing up, you know, this Jacob Echebi Lamte case, and, you know, essentially impugning ill political motive into your reasoning for some of these actions, which is why I started this conversation by asking you the why. The why, because, you know, the why has somehow become the issue. And we've heard people speak to this issue and say, for instance, that, you know, he's politically exposed, but that doesn't make him not a good investor. That doesn't mean that because he's politically exposed, Ghanaians can benefit from his assets and from his, you know, expertise and all of that. And I would need you, Honorable, to speak to that.
Yes. So let me go back to that interview that we had. Even though Joy FM did not tell me that they will be putting him on, and it was some kind of an ambush, it is fine. It helped us to really distill the matters. And what that interview has revealed is remarkable. So first of all, that interview reveals that when I petitioned Shraj and stated emphatically that the Honorable Brian Champong has not complied with Articles 78 and 98 of the Constitution, he confirmed it. His excuse was that he knows some other NDC MPs.
Hold on, Honorable.
Who do business.
Let's do a little bit of education.
Yes.
So what you are referring to, those parts of the Constitution,
yes,
speaks about, applying
yes,
and seeking the permission of the Speaker of Parliament to hold an office of profit.
Yes.
Honorable, please educate us.
Yes, so let me read.
Right.
Article 78(3) provides, a minister of state shall not hold any other office of profit. Shall is a shall, not may. Shall not hold any other office of profit or emolument, whether private or public, and whether directly or indirectly, unless otherwise permitted by the Speaker, acting on the recommendations of a committee of Parliament, on the ground that A, that holding that office will not prejudice the work of a minister, and B, that no conflict of interest arises or would arise as a result of the minister holding that office. So this is a very important constitutional provision. Conflict of interest. And if you go through assigning orders and you talk to members of this committee is so important that it is chaired by the second deputy speaker. The chairmanship is reserved for whoever will be second deputy speaker. And they do their due diligence. They want to be sure, because you see, a member of parliament can be privy to some information. Probably there is a new bill coming into force which is going to open a new business interest. He hurriedly goes to incorporate a business, makes himself director, sole shareholder, sole beneficial owner, and is just standing by because of that insider information he has to just take over the whole business interest and shortchange the country. A minister of state. And you see, this same provision, Article 78, is repeated in Article 98 for members of parliament. It's a lifting. So 98(2) says, a member of parliament shall not hold any office of profit or emolument, whether private or public, and either directly or indirectly, unless permitted to do so by the speaker. And it goes on. Same provision. And in this case, the Honorable Brian Champong is both an MP and a minister. You know, I take my due diligence seriously, because these are matters that can even border on defamation and all of that.
Right.
You can lose your seat if it turns out that you have lied against a colleague or against any citizen, and they drag you to the privileges committee, or you are convicted by court. You can lose your seat. So people don't know how risky these things that I do are. So my staff will tell you, every matter, it's not that you just get information and you put it out. We do thorough. So I apply to the clerk of the members holding office of profit committee. And the clerk responded and gave me the full list, because it's public information. Any citizen, any of your viewers can go to parliament and demand that information. That you want to know how many of your elected representatives have complied with this constitutional provision if they are interested in holding an office of profit, engaging in business, buying hotels. You have the right to know. So I did the due diligence, I asked, and they gave me a list of 47 that so far in the life of this parliament, only 47 MPs and ministers have applied and been granted permission after the committee reviewed the application. 47. We took a fine comb and went through name by name by name, till we got to the 47th name. I even, as I talk to you, know the 47th person. The Honorable Carlos Ahinkra is the 47th person. I know number 1, know number 47. It should tell you how diligent we did our work. The Honorable Brian Champon's name is not there. And according to the records of the committee, he's even never applied, never even approached them to even inquire about what this constitutional provision requires. So it tells you, ab initio, that the Honorable Brian Champon should not have gone anywhere near this transaction. Because you see, we have also secured his incorporation documents. And if you look at Rock City Limited, he is one of 2 directors. He is the sole shareholder, and he is the sole beneficial owner. So back to the interview you are quizzing me about. You heard him say that, oh, you know, I'm a non-executive director. I don't get involved in the day-to-day.
Don't get paid.
I don't get paid. I don't pay Miss Nate and all of that. You think Bill Gates is interested in monthly salary from Microsoft? The fundamental issue is you are the sole beneficial owner. When Rock City declares profit, where do the profits go? You think the profit will come to Mamiama PRATT at Pan-African Television? Or me in Northtown? The profits are going to one bank account. Only one. He is the sole beneficial owner. And you know, even this claim that he is not close to the company, he is not involved in their day-to-day management, these transactions are happening on his blind side, he is not involved in any way, he should not be associated with these matters, and we should appreciate that he is different from, is totally distinct from Rock City. Unfortunately for him, this intercepted letter from the Edina Traditional Council, signed by Nana Kojo Kondua the Sixth, the Omanhene of the Edina Traditional Area, exposes him. Let me read the letter for you. It's a short letter. So it's a petition to the Director General SNET, Head Office Accra, and Chief of Staff, Jubilee House, Accra. And Nana Kojo Kondua the Sixth, I pay all respect, says, settlement of Golden Beach Resort land at Elmina. It has come to the notice of the Edina Traditional Council that the Golden Beach Resort, Elmina, has been offered for sale. This is when Honorable Brian Champon, Member of Parliament for Abetifi constituency, visited the site with investors. Honorable Brian Champon, the man who is not involved in day-to-day, who doesn't know that Rock City is buying hotels. Nana Kondua says that he saw him at the site.
With his own 2 eyes.
His own 2 eyes. And this is Nana Kojo Kondua the Sixth. He himself has signed the letter. And we know our revered chiefs. Hey, who dare you say this chief didn't see that what he's writing cannot be true? He continues. Our main concern is that the land on which the resort is situated is the property of the Edina Traditional Council. We are therefore calling your attention so that we all could solve the matter amicably. Yours faithfully, signed Nana Kojo Kondua. He decided to sign himself. You know, this is a paramount chief. There are many, because of how serious the matter and who he saw himself, he decided to sign. And is copied, Chief Executive Officer, Golden Beach Resort. The man who is not involved in day-to-day, he is far removed. He's so busy trying to feed us at the Ministry of Agric. Our chiefs are spotting him all over the places where these hotels, I mean, what do they take us for? So look, this business of I am not involved. Nana Kundia is laughing at that. The Dinar Traditional Council, they think that you are really taking them for fools when you say that. But even more importantly, when you go through the legal documents, the incorporation documents, you are the sole beneficial owner. You know, to the credit of the Honorable Ken Oforiatta, Ken Oforiatta is probably, he's really a smooth operator, maybe because he wears white always. So, what Ken Oforiatta did, and that's why it's been difficult to pin him, as soon as he became a minister, he relinquished. So, he divested himself of interest in his company, Data Bank and others. So when you go for his incorporation document, you will see that he's no longer there. Even though I know when we pierce the veil, we will find him somewhere.
That veil of incorporation.
Exactly.
Right.
But at least you see that he is conscious of conflict of interest. As Honorable Bra Champon, he hasn't even attempted. So he won't relinquish. He wants all the profits to still come to him. 2, he will not comply with the Constitution about conflict of interest. And for such grave matters, these are constitutional matters. The Honorable Bra Champon in that interview said, I have access to him, I should have come to him, we should have met at the Old Boys or that year guest house and have a chat on these matters. If I do that, how would my conscience feel? When Jacob Echebi Lamte was buying his bungalow, I didn't go and look for him. I didn't go for a chat. I went straight to the Supreme Court. But because now it's my schoolmate or that year, so suddenly my patriotic principles, nationalistic principles, the principle I've always espoused, if you go through these court documents, which we were commended for. You know, the Honorable Bra Champon says that our case was frivolous and all of that. Jacob Echebi Lamte made these initial arguments for 2 years. And if you see from this ruling of 10th November 2011, by 9-0 decision, all the Supreme Court judges said that it's a very important matter. So we won by 9-0 for the first round, the round 1. That no, this is a very, a minister of state buying his bungalow. And they commended the young men, if you read the ruling, that these are the kind of citizens that this country should encourage. So again, it's not true that I just went to court with frivolous matters and I was thrown out. It's not true. That was Jake's initial approach. When the judges threw him out by 9-0, he saw that, So he beefed up his legal team. And even that, it was a 6-3 decision. And if you read the dissenting judgment of Sophia Kufu, she prophesied. Let me just read one paragraph. She said, firstly, I have become extremely concerned of late that in the handling of matters involving the interpretation or enforcement of our Constitution, there is a growing tendency for this court to become, in my view, unnecessarily ensnared by the particularities and specificities of the facts of the suit and the technicalities of the manner in which it has been pleaded. The big picture being constitutional interpretation and enforcement and its necessary legal impact, not only on the individual parties to the suit, but more importantly, also on the generality of the Ghanaian citizenry for the present and future. Present and future. It seems to me sometimes tends to become of secondary importance. In my humble view, it is incumbent on this court, where a matter comes before it by way of a writ invoking its original jurisdiction, to trawl through the pleadings in a quest to identify the core constitutional questions in issue, rather than just what the parties claim to be the matters in issue. In the instant matter, the real issue was unfortunately rather obfuscated. Right. Unquote. God bless
that public interest that we are all interested in. So your answer to this issue of the personal is that this can't be personal.
It cannot be personal.
This is a public interest issue.
How will me having a chat an old boys chat with the Honorable Brian Champon, how does it resolve the constitutional breaches?
Right.
How does it resolve the conflict of interest concerns? How does it save our hotels? Hotels that are doing well. Do you know that, as we speak, thousands of workers who work in these hotels run the risk of losing their jobs? Because if this deal is finalized, the Honorable Brian Champon has controlling stake. He decides who he wants to work with.
Let's go there. He manages, the raw manages.
Exactly. So these are grave matters that we shouldn't reduce to friendship and old boys.
Let's come to the defense. Let's come to the defense to this decision, because as it stands now, this is a decision that we are trying to investigate and stop. Now, the defense for all of this is that we are trying to raise money, and also that we are trying to manage these hotels better. Let's start from raise money. The biggest criticism against that has come from the former director of SNIT, in the person of Mr. Ernest Thompson. He says that, I want to read something. He says, SNIT is a pension fund, and it is a long-term investor. It is not a bank receiving deposits. So SNIT's investments are analyzed from serious places, and you just don't exit from SNIT investments that way. I like to stay on, SNIT not being a bank and not receiving deposits. Because my question then becomes that if SNIT is involved in, hotel procurement, hotel management, all of that, the point is so that the monies that we put in there are being used, they are yielding. It's investments.
Yeah.
In its own letter, it calls it an investment portfolio. Yeah. Now, if SNIT is doing away with that, or a chunk of that, 60% of that, then that's, in my layman's understanding, 60% of that revenue that is lost. Yeah. Now, that sale then means that SNIT would receive a lump sum. I don't think that SNIT, like Ernest Thompson states, is in the business of receiving large sums of money, receiving deposits. How does that serve my interests, as a Ghanaian? That's one. Two, in terms of its efficiency, and again, excuse my layman's understanding and explanation of the issues, but immediately I'm at a loss. If SNIT can't efficiently manage its investment portfolio, where do I stand? Oh. How does SNIT then manage,
all the contributions
that it is receiving? Workers. That is a fundamental issue. And I am very alarmed that SNIT would literally come out and say that we are inefficient. Yeah. Because by extension, that is what SNIT is saying.
Your alarm is justified, and we are all alarmed. We are all frightened. That is why, in my response to the SNIT press release of May 19, 2024, I said that if SNIT has become this hopeless, they are inefficient, they can't manage investments under their watch, let's close down SNIT. Let's amend the law so that all of us will decide where we send our pension contributions to. They are private pension fund managers. We will send it to them. If SNIT has become this bogus and this inefficient, I mean, I have never seen such self-indictment. And you see, what even makes matters worse is that SNIT and the government that is engaged in this indictment, that they are inefficient, they've run out of ideas to manage investments under their watch. Their own colleague is the one coming to buy. So, Honorable Brian Champon, is it that cruel to Ghana? You are watching your colleagues issue these statements that are inefficient. They've run out of ideas. They can't help these hotels survive. You have the ideas. You can't give it to them. You are sitting in cabinet. You can't share your ideas. Even if you won't share all, share some. Help this miserable SNIT management who are clueless and are inept. At least share it with them. That's why we pay you as minister. That's why you are at cabinet. If you read the constitution, cabinet, that's where they go and brainstorm. A few ministers who have great ideas, great vision to transform this country. You say that no, you will not share unless you buy it and it becomes yours. That's when you will bring your expertise to bear. Hey! And they call themselves members of the new patriotic party. Is it patriotism? Is this patriotism? Then you see, this claim that we need capital injection. It is so ridiculous. I've already told you about how Labadi Beach Hotel and Ridge Royal are doing very well. Yes, currently, La Palm, Elmina, Buzia, Trust are not doing well. But under the venerable Ernest Thompson, they were doing very well. And Ernest Thompson says that his secret, his magic one, was just management contracts. So he engages the best managers. The best managers. When you allow competence and ability, capacity to hold sway, you make that paramount instead of just blinded loyalty, foot soldierism. Look, as we speak, have you seen that memo that I put out from the accounts department of La Palm? Will you believe that La Palm, which is supposedly unprofitable, which has to be sold to the Honorable Brachampo, the managing director dies, they ask a lady, Nana Kwachi, to take over for 3 months. And she says, you people owe me $3,000 for the 6 months that I was there. And you have to pay in 2 installments. Broke La Palm. They are paying $3,000 a month. Why won't these hotels struggle? So, you see, the excuses that SNIT offers don't make sense. Look, even this business of capital injection, there are so many options. If you really need capital, what happened to floating shares on the stock exchange, for example? Which actually bring, and I'm happy you go there, Honorable. I want you to box all of that into the conversation. This issue about tendering, you know, has also come up. We are told that there are about, what, 9? You know, or at least started at some 15. Right, at some points they streamlined to about 9, you know, and that Rock City Hotel give the best, you know, bid in terms of technical, in terms of financials, financial as well. Thank you, Honorable. Now, let's speak to that. Let's speak to that. I mean, that whole process. We are also told, and Honorable, you also give us an expose. You know how much we paid the transaction advisor. The transaction advisor. You know, what, something close to $491, half $1 million. You know, I want you to box all of these issues into one. I'm also looking at time. Yes. And my issues are a lot. Yes. So the procurement processes, the sheer impunity, the disregard for our procurement laws is mind-boggling. So you've spoken to some of them. This is a company claiming to be so broke, so broke, that they decide that transaction advice for the sale, they will pay $491,000. And yet, don't forget that some 900. You know. That is about 7.1 million Ghana cedis. Now, don't forget that linked to that expose is how an evaluation panel member refused to sign. And I have said that I'm still digging because they thought that they could get a Central Tender Review Committee approval. The Central Tender Committee said that no, one person had refused to sign. So go back. I'm still trying to find that evaluation panel member and why he or she refused to sign, even though we can all see the signs on the wall. But you see, that is not all. Honorable, the person who advised on the transaction was paid
almost $500,000.
$500,000, yes. $491,000. 7.1 million Ghana cedis on how to sell. SSNIT cannot sell directly. Even the selling, they need a transaction advisor. And the broke SSNIT, you say you are selling these hotels because you are broke. You could come up with $491,000. Only this morning, I heard lawyer Senanu of the Citizens Coalition Against Corruption. You know, they have also held a press conference asking the president to stop this deal, and they've threatened that they will go to court if this deal is not stopped. He says he does transaction advice. He could have done this between $50,000 to maximum $100,000. He says this should not go beyond $100,000. Lawyer Senanu speaking this morning. Look, when you look at how these transaction advisors were procured, do you know, Mami, that these transaction advisors who were procured in 2019, 20th December 2019, 2018, by the time the process started, this procurement process started, Rock City had not started its operations. Rock City started operating a year after. Yes. Started November 2019, a year after. A year after the procurement processes. So Rock City 2019 to 2024, they are just barely some 4.5 years old. And they have better expertise, better capacity than Labadi Beach, making profits 35-year-old. It's incredible. And that is not all about the procurement breaches. So, you know, when you advertise in procurement, under procurement laws, you advertise for six hotels. Brian Champo comes, goes around with his team, the Dinar Traditional Council, Nana Kondia caught him on the inspection tour, and sees that Buzia and Trust is not even prime location, I'm not too sure about it, and decides that he will take 4. Immediately, you must do the procurement again. You must do retendering, start afresh, because that is not the object, that's not what you advertised. That is why it's one of the grounds that organized labor has stated as their major objection with this deal. Total disregard for the procurement laws. Then that is not all on procurement. So, you know, SSNIT proceeded as though they own 100% shares in all these hotels. Rich Royal in Cape Coast has minority shareholders. They have 4.9%. Vanef and Ahoy Plaza, they are the minority shareholders. All these shareholders, SSNIT, Vanef, signed a shareholders agreement dated 1st April 1999, when I believe that, with all due respect, you were still in secondary school. 1999. That's the shareholders agreement. Under this agreement, which goes as far back as 1999, I'm stressing 1999.
When you were still in secondary school, Honorable.
This shareholders agreement mandates, that is what you have signed, that's the agreement, that if any of the shareholders wants to sell, do anything with their shares, you must call a board of directors meeting. You must have a shareholders meeting. And shareholders must agree. And the shareholders must have the first right. That is the shareholders agreement. Will you believe that none of this was done? The shareholders, like any of us in the public domain, saw the advert and they were shocked. They had to run to their lawyers, and their lawyers had to issue a stinker to SNIT. So you know what SNIT did? I have the letter from the lawyers of Ridge Royal here. Their lawyers are Ishan Anderson Yeboah Obing and Co. Unlimited. I really like the name of this law firm. Let me just read this portion. It says, further to our client's information, on the 12th of March 2024, a meeting was held with the head of investments at SNIT, Patience Owusu, where our clients informed the SNIT representative that they would buy SNIT shares, and so the exercise to sell off SNIT hotels should exclude the Ridge Royal Hotel, since the idea of purchasing the catering rest house, now the Ridge Royal Hotel, was solely our client's idea. Unfortunately, SNIT did not write to our clients as promised by the head of investments at the said meeting. Our clients further instruct us to state that they only this week finally received a copy of the said letter notifying them of SNIT's intention to sell its shares. According to our client's instruction, no shareholders meeting has been held to discuss the sale of SNIT shares in Ridge Royal Hotel. We, therefore, on the instructions of our clients, the minority shareholders, request an emergency general meeting to discuss SNIT's proposed sale of 60% shares. It is proper that due process is followed as required by the shareholders agreement to ensure equity and fair play. And this is dated 10th May 2024. More than 2 years after SNIT has advertised, gone ahead, and they say they have sold to the Honorable Brian Champ. They are just at the last stage, according to the SNIT statement. Can you believe this? So it means that that whole procurement process is null and void.
Null and void. Null and void.
I mean, so perhaps when SNIT themselves issue this statement and tell us that they are incompetent, they are inefficient, maybe we should start believing it.
I like to involve our viewers at this point. So, you know, I like to read one message from the Facebook live post. This one is from APSC Seidu John Paul, and he says, good evening, Amma. I am delighted to be joining you live from Tamale. I firmly believe that Honorable Samuel's contribution to Ghana is immeasurable, and it is imperative that we do not overlook its significance. MPP is in to milk the innocent Ghanaian for themselves and families. The NDC must diligently pursue this matter to its fullest extent, ensuring that justice and accountability prevail. Ghana deserves better. He says he's Seyedu John Paul. He's former SRC president of Tamale Technical University. Now, I mean, I'm excited that this conversation, you know, is not limited to NDC MPP. Yeah. That excites me no end. We have, you know, personalities like the former Director General of SNIT wading in. Yeah. We have an institution like the TUC wading in. Civil society organizations are wading in. This is a national public interest issue. I really would appreciate it if we sort of leave the NDC MPP, you know, forgive me, Honorable, but yeah, I would really be, you know, more appreciative if we leave the NDC MPP and stick to the public interest, you know, because that's my interest as somebody who willingly and unwillingly pays to SNIT. So let's come back to the issues, Honorable, and you've done justice to most of them. We've handled the personnel. We've handled procurement. The process itself clearly, you know,
it's flawed.
Absolutely. We've handled the issues that SNIT itself brings up, and that would be this issue of the injection of finances, capital into the issue, and then also this issue of management and efficiency. Now, I'd like us to look at what, you know, the Honorable Brian Champon has to say about all of this. Well, we've dealt with one, you know. The other issue is that, look, this is a Ghanaian, you know, be he politically exposed or not, be he an MP or not, be he a minister or not, he's a Ghanaian, like all of us, and if he can assist, you know, sort of, why not? That for me has been the argument that keeps coming up. That at the end of the day, you know, but I think that the Constitution has answered that question already.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. The Constitution has provided caveats for good reason. It doesn't stop a business person, an entrepreneur who wants to go into politics, to go into politics. But it provides that once you enter politics, we are concerned about conflict of interest.
Right.
We don't want a situation, and the framers of our constitution, you have to give them credit. They don't want a situation where we wake up one morning and the business people in government have grabbed all state assets. There's something called state capture, where people use the conduit of public office and come and just grab everything that belongs to all of us. That is why there's a committee that is always assessing the business conduct of MPs and ministers. Very, very wise constitutional provision, very sound in our national interest. And you see, this attack on me that I'm anti-Ghanaian business, I wanted a foreigner to come and buy it and all of that. Look, if the Honorable Brian Champong, have you ever heard me complain about Rock City? That Rock City is too big or Rock City is too ambitious. I'm happy for him, for his Rock City. If he was going to buy Mecklin Hotel, for example, or Fiesta Royale, or Mensvik Hotel at East Legon, it is not a state asset. We won't be having this discussion. But once it is a state asset, it belongs to all of us. SNIT did not even engage in broad consultations. I mean, how do you feel when organized labor has 4 reps on the SNIT board? The statement, the 20th May statement that TUC read, they said that when they met their reps that morning, they told them that they were opposed to the deal. At the board, they told them that this transaction should not go on. They were ignored. It's in their statement. It is in the SNIT statement. So no broad-based consultation. It's here. I can read it for emphasis. At a meeting held today, 20th May 2024, the workers' representatives on the Board of Trustees of SNIT briefed the top leadership of organized labor about the proposed sale of 60% of SNIT's interest in some hotels. The workers' representatives informed the leadership that they had collectively raised objections to the process and had advised that the process be halted. Can you believe that? And yet they went ahead and they are selling to a minister of state. So it's not about being anti-Ghanaian business. The whole rationale, the whole policy consideration, wrong. Procurement process, not respected. Abuse of process, the whole thing is skewed, is raked. And then we are saying that these are state assets. I have always maintained that no public official, no minister should buy a state asset. That is why I can confirm to you that I've put together a team of lawyers and we are drafting a private members bill. When the House resumes, we'll be submitting it. Because I've seen that there are loopholes, people are taking advantage, even though it's clear when you read the Constitution, right, that conflict of interest is a big deal under the Ghanaian Constitution. People are playing all kinds of games, taking advantage of loopholes. So I want us to have express laws, very clear, with sanctions. What should happen? Because if you read this Constitution, nothing is said about what should happen to MPs and ministers who don't comply when they breach Article 78 and Article 98. That is one of the major concerns that I have with this provision. Nice provision, fine, good intention to protect state assets, to prevent conflict of interest. But what are the sanctions?
No teeth to bite.
So no teeth to bite. So that is why somebody decides, I won't apply. Let's see what you can do to me. Right. So it is not that I am anti. Look, if he goes to, if he has all that money, why is he not building even hotels? Why can't he just, build more rock cities all over the place? Why does he have to be buying SNIT hotels? And you see, in the course of the week, I published, and this escaped many, many people. Many Ghanaians do not know that before they attempt to buy these 6, The Honorable Brian Chambo had bought one hotel belonging to SNIT in Kumasi. In 2022, 2 years, they sealed the deal 14 April 2022. I have published the minutes of the final transaction, and you will weep for Ghana. So this meeting, which was chaired by Mr. Kofi Osafo-Maafo, and you see him signing, he's involved in all of this. And people are even asking questions if that is why he's been promoted and his boss was disgracefully removed. When you read what happened, the minutes of this transaction meeting of 16 March 2022, will you believe that when Rock City applied to purchase the 25% shares of SNIT, SNIT got an independent valuer to do the valuation. And the figure that the valuer brought as the value of the 25% shares was 8.6 million. Brian Champon's Rock City refused to pay that amount. They said they will pay only 7.4 million. Even that, when you read the minutes, Mr. Samuel Chum, the general manager, let me read from page 2. Mr. Chum followed with a suggestion that the sale price should be in United States dollars and pegged at the current dollar rate to the cedi, which was declined by the Rock City team. They declined. Everything that was made in the interest of workers, when you read this, they were calling the shots in the meeting. So, one, they didn't pay the value of 8.6 million. That is why when I say that, I fear that there will be no value for money. And already, organized labor has said, if you read point number 3, they said that they have discovered that the proposed payment terms have been varied from the original MOU based on the recommendation of a transaction advisor. So already what they are going to ask Brian Champon to pay is different from what the transaction advisor has recommended. It's been varied. That is what happened in Kumasi with the Grand Regency Hotel. So he didn't pay the 8.6 million.
Right.
I'm wrapping up on that.
Right.
He said he'll pay 7.4. He said he will not pay when it's pegged to the dollar. And to make matters worse, he is paying in installments.
He's paying in installments.
In installments. And we all know the depreciation of our currency. I mean, can you believe that? So it's like now SNIT is for him. That is why I talk about the unholy alliance between Rock City and SNIT. I mean, why should we tolerate this? Why?
Okay, Honorable, what next? What next? And we have to do this about 4 or 5 minutes because KSM is up next. What next? We sent a petition to Shraj. SNIT says it will comply with Shraj's investigation. Shraj is investigating this. You're appealing that we stop the sale, but as it stands now, it seems as though 4 transactions have gone through already. From the face of all the documents that you yourself have intercepted and have graciously allowed all of us to have access to. What next? Do you think, Honorable, that it's possible to stop this transaction at this stage? In the lifespan of the process, do you think
it is possible? We will stop it. We will stop it, and I want to salute the vast majority of Ghanaians, the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians who have, I've not seen such raw anger in a long time. The upheaval, the national outrage is tangible. You can feel it. Everybody is speaking. I've heard TUC, CLOCSAG, civil society organizations. I've heard Professor Yanka. I've heard Dr. Jimandia. Everybody is outraged. Even MPP, on my way here, I saw Kennedy Japon's brother saying that, look, he should back off. I mean, key MPP people are saying that, look, this is offensive. So I agree with your approach that let's see this as a national issue trying to save national assets. So we will stop it. I want to commend the civil society organizations who have declared that if the president does not step in, and you see, Shraj will take time with the investigations, even though we have petition. And unfortunately, under the law, Shraj doesn't have injunction powers. So Shraj cannot say that you are injuncted. So it means that we must ratchet up, scale up their agitation, and remind the president of his own words. It is President Akufo-Addo who told us that he has met all his appointees and announced to anybody who intends to work with him that if your motive is business and profit, don't come and serve in my government. Stay in the private sector. That's where money is made. President Akufo-Addo. So it's President Akufo-Addo telling us that he hasn't seen what his appointees are doing. That his own edict to them, his own directive to them, that if you want to do business, you want to make money, stay in the private sector. He hasn't seen his cabinet ministers who sit next to him, the Honorable Bra Champon, and what his other appointees of Safu Mafu and Co are doing at SNET. Is the president telling us he hasn't seen it? So watch out. Next week, we are going to scale up. Next week, we'll be announcing something very, very big. There's going to be a public manifestation. Because I have intercepted latest documents from SEM, and then that is the SEM capital, and then Rock City. They are writing to the managers of all the hotels to give them documents, open up their books. Personnel should stand by to be interviewed and all of that. It's like an invasion. They are preparing to take over. These letters dated 1st November 2023, 7 December 2023. So we have seen that they want to also hurry and seal the deal. And to the extent that the Honorable Bra Champon is even defending his actions publicly. I thought that he would have said by now that, look, Ghanaians have listened to you, the public outcry, please forgive me my sins, I'm backing off. He's not doing that. He thinks that he can invoke old boyism and friendship, colleagues in parliament, so let's sit down and talk, and then watch the hotels go. That's not going to happen. So next week, we are going to scale up the agitation. We'll be announcing we are in talks, we are consulting with all of those who have spoken against this deal. We want to form a grand coalition and do something really big that the president will have absolutely no choice but to call these appointees to order and remind them that he told them that if you want to do business, you want to own hotels, you want to create your own Labadi Beach and all of that, stay in the private sector. This is the time that we need that advice, that we want to see that the president is a man of his word. This is the time.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable. Thank you so much. It's interesting to me that our foremost citizen vigilante, happens to be in Parliament. It's gratifying to see that. And I think most of the, comments on Facebook, just because of time, Nana Afra Entry is asking God to bless you. Maria Adam, she has a lot to say. The Stephen Dofenyo, he has a lot to say. So there are lots of Rascal, the Great. There's Omahini Diakwa. There's JB is watching us. Hi JB, Joyce Muktari, she's watching on Facebook. There's Michael Champon, there's Mensa Majid, Christina Beidou. I see all of you commenting, and I think a lot of the comments are just to say thank you to you, that this can't be easy, because of course there's a personal element, of course there's a colleague personal and all of that, but to see you consistently lead conversations around what is right and what is in the interest of Ghanaians, we can only say kudos to you. Thank you for watching. All of us are on standby for next week. If you need our legs, we'll give you. If you need our hands, we'll give you. If you need our voice, we'll give you. Because at the end of the day, it is in our interest, national interest. It's all we have. Ghana is all we have. Ghana is all we have. And that's my interest in all of this. If I can't live comfortably now, if portions of my salary have to go somewhere so that in my old age, when I'm old and rickety, I can take care of myself. Anything that tempers with that, tempers with my heart, and we are tempering with the heartbeat of this very nation. So this has been our show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for contributing. I'll see you next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.